because this started on Clubhouse. Like, it was a legit club that I created on Clubhouse called NFTs for the Culture. And since then, we migrated to Twitter Spaces, and I partnered up with my bro Eric Spivak, and we've been running, he has this whole thing called Your Conduit. We have like 7-day programming. I'm one of those days on Thursdays. I run on Twitter Spaces at 7 p.m. Central Standard Time. You want to give us just like a little insight on what Your Conduit is? I think it's so dope.
Yeah. Hey, what's up, everyone? My name's Eric, or Motivate, depending on when you meet me or where or how. Your Conduit, this is up there, basically is a easy button for people and businesses alike. It provides an opportunity for people to have accessibility and availability to get anything, anywhere, at any time. It's literally an easy button for anyone. And so when you say anything, there's a lot of expectations that are attached to that. One example would be Cardi B calling at 4 a.m. needing a black-on-black 64 Impala with hydraulics brought to Watts in South Central LA for a music video. Another might be James Blake needing a warehouse at 6 a.m. to film a 1-800-Dinosaur party or whatever. And so with Your Conduit being a bridge, we're all conduits. He's your conduit, she's your conduit. We're all conduits and connections and bridges, much like NFTs are conduits to, you know, their tools, their instruments, their vehicles, their conduits to other things. You know, Your Conduit is serving as a bridge to provide that level of accessibility, inclusion, and diversity in a lot of different ways. So within that, we have unique original programming every day on Twitter Spaces, and we cover everything from translating Korean to English, breaking down NFTs and going back and forth between the languages, to having NFTs for the culture and making this more accessible and approachable and digestible for people of all walks and marginalized communities. And, you know, sometimes information gets to certain people slower, and that's intentional and it's unnecessary. So yeah, we're trying to you know, make this more equitable and diverse and fair, and we do that by educating and empowering.
So NFTs for the Culture, and we got some amazing people here on stage. We got MUMBOT, who's a talented artist, and she's a community builder. We got my bro, Blue the Great. I've known him for over a decade in the space, or not even in the space, just in life. Amazing artist. If you don't know him, you should definitely know him. And then we got this prodigy over here. We got my bro, WAHEED Zai, who is the founder and creator of All Smiles. If you don't know what All Smiles is, you need to get hip, you know what I'm saying? And then also this empty ghost chair, she is on her way. If you're not familiar with Lady PHEØNIX or Lady Fee, you are asleep. You need to know, because she was a pioneer and just like bringing a lot of stuff to the space. She introduced people to Clubhouse. You understand what I'm saying? She's worth the wait, trust me. And also just kind of getting into NFTs for the culture, just kind of double tapping what Motivate said. The reason why I was cultivated is because I just realized titles and hierarchy in the way the social climate is. Early on in Clubhouse, when I was on there in like 2020, learning about these things, I first learned about NFTs from Lady Fee. And you got to see that it was like this, it was a all white man club, right? And it was, women didn't really get a voice to speak. People in marginalized groups didn't get a time and space to speak. But one thing I realized, so I used to work at Google. I literally quit 2 weeks ago. So like that, being high on my bio on Clubhouse, it says creative director at Google, I realized that it gave me a time and space to speak. They shut the fuck up. And when I realized these things, it was like, I would speak, people give me a time of day, and then someone that looks just like me, man or woman, they speak and then they get fucking crickets. They get crickets. You don't get the same feedback, or you get mansplained, and it was very irritating. So when I realized that a lot of these language barriers that were happening, just because I played World of Warcraft back in the day, I played Counter-Strike 1.6, I was designing websites, I was selling web hosting. I understood the language. I work in tech, I understood the language, but also as an artist, I work in the underground art scene. I work as a quote-unquote artist influence or brand collaborations. So I'm seeing both sides of the tracks. I'm seeing people with little to no capital creating videos with no budget, getting millions and millions of views, and then I'm on the other side with $1 million budget with the videos struggling to get any type of attention. So you get to see who really get to shape the culture and who is controlling what we get to see in culture. And then when we get into Web3, you get to see all the languages especially early on, was spoken at such high altitudes, the average person could not see what was being said and apply it to what they were doing. Nothing was applicable because these white, cis male gendered, as we know the space was pioneered by, the conversation wasn't meant for everybody. But since I had the leg up, my title, people shut the fuck up, gave me room to speak. So with me realizing this, I realized, so that's where NFTs from the culture came from, was I understand these systems, I understand how things are put in place, so let me make it in a way that we can all apply it to our everyday livelihoods. And I've been inspired by all of these people here on stage, and we work day in and day out to make dope shit. So we got MUMBOT, who I've been rocking with for many, many months on Clubhouse. I got my bro, Blue the Great, we've been building for what, since 2012? Crazy. I watched my man go from couch hopping to making one of the most highly sought after Jordan collaboration sneakers in the world. And then I got my man WAHEED, who just turned 23. I'm gonna put your business out there and make 7 figures last year. From learning and applying himself in a 3D space, and I watched him move with such candor that I've never seen a young person just kind of navigate the space and then just hold space for other people to just, I don't have to be Uncle Tom, I don't have to play this game. And then we got Lady Fee, who educated the space on a level that most of us can't even comprehend. So, as we get into NFTs for the culture, I just want to tap in with MUMBOT.
Hello.
How you doing, MUMBOT?
I'm good.
Also, MUMBOT and I are guest speaking at VCon, where we're not only be on the same stage, but we're both gonna be at VCon speaking, so shout out to you.
Thank you.
Hell yeah. So MUMBOT, can you give us a little insight on just like maybe your start into the NFT space and what you learned at the beginning? And I know you have your own initiatives that you've been doing, like you creating space for, you call it art for the world or artists of the world. You wanna just kind of give the insight on what that means for you?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, when I started out in the NFT space, I was based in Bangkok, Thailand. So at that time, you know, I had heard about NFTs for a couple of months, and some friends were doing, you know, a little bit here and there. And then my husband, who's here, Defiant, he actually connected me with an incredible game developer slash metaverse builder, 3D artist named Cyrus James Khan, and he taught me a lot, and I feel like my connection with him was an amazing way to enter the space because just like his insight into like how everything is pretty community based, and also he's a very like globally minded, inclusive type of leader in a way. Like he's quiet, but he's also a leader. Like if you ever listen to him actually speak. But I'm also a little nervous, by the way.
No.
But I'm so glad you're the one who's hosting. Yeah, but so we started a collaboration, and that piece is called Mycelium on the Block, and that was my genesis, and it was actually exactly 1 year ago, like 2 days ago. So that was our mint-versary. Yeah.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
A mint-versary. Most people just found out about NFTs last week.
Yeah, I know. And what was cool too was he introduced me to Clubhouse, and I had a few other friends who were kind of in there already, so I was like starting off I was pretty shy. I had like crazy anxiety, and I mean,
same.
Yeah, and it took me months to get the courage to really be able to speak on a stage in Clubhouse, but I got the hang of it. Actually, I had started my Ghost Club right away, though. That's the funny thing. I started my Clubhouse Ghost Club like right when I started, before I knew anybody. And in the description I wrote, like, I wanted to connect with the global creative community. And that was something I was like hoping to build over time. And sure enough, like we really have been. We've been, doing a lot of, I'm very aligned with what you guys do. I'm all about like uplifting other artists in the space, other creators, developers, musicians, helping them collaborate. We do daily and weekly activations like spotlights and open mics and different things like that.
No, that's amazing, and I want to just kind of I want to really double tap in on that is, just from your inception of like just understanding what NFTs are, how has the landscape from your perspective has changed since we started? Like you said, I remember we were hosting a couple of rooms and people oftentimes come up with the introvert dilemma, right?
Yeah.
And with you and I kind of like do like a little tag team. It was like, yo, like it's not really easy for us either. Like,
Yeah.
but at some point it was like, yo, it's either sink or swim. Like, do you want to do you want to have a rapport with people or not? So just even like you giving such quality advice, like, yo, I'm not the most outspoken person either, but I felt like it was necessary. So with all the stuff you've been doing, just connecting people, with your addition, have you seen just like this swell of, like I've seen NFT Japan happen, I've seen like we do Dong Li Han with the Korean NFTs. How has the space for you expanded? Do you feel like your efforts have not gone in vain, or?
Oh, no, absolutely feel like it's been so helpful and actually needed. So, and just like what you do, I think it's really needed. Like, you know, the Korean space is amazing. I actually like hanging out in the spaces where you do find a lot of more of the Western people present, and then I like to kind of explain a little like, hey, like, you know, there are people who are in this space that are crushing it all over the world, and you know, there's like a lot of misconceptions, I think. So just helping like some of the Western mindset kind of recognize that part of it is also like you know, the inclusivity is like you have the translated spaces. Like we've also held translator spaces with translators for like the Thai community. And yeah, like, sorry.
No, this is working. Go ahead, bro.
I was just gonna say, I mean, what you just spoke on is the fact that, like, you know, North America is such a small bubble in the grander, like, view of things, and NFTs are universal. The English language is not, but it is a language, right? And I think that there's so many talented artists in South America and Asia and Europe and beyond that don't have a voice, don't have a platform, don't have the same social medias, don't have the same like way of life / way of adoption of these things that we utilize. And so the next best XYZ ABC is literally out there. There's tons of them, but you know, they don't have necessarily the tools of the trade as we do as Accessible. So it's like accessibility, diversity, inclusion is such a necessity for this, and I think that's where the communication and messaging needs to be, that this is open for anyone. This can change anyone's lives, you know?
Yeah, and I think when we talk about tools of the trade, and also after we go through, I kind of want to make this popcorn style. I just want us to just kind of have a conversation, because I feel like there's like the meeting of the minds. When we talk about the tools of the trade and when we talk about NFTs for the culture, I think one of the things personally that I wanted to emphasize was that NFTs are much more than pretty pictures. Because when I got in this space, like I got an ape at 0.08, and when I go to an ape or a Bored Ape event, it's like maybe four people, and I think I'm being generous, that look like me at these spaces. So we're talking about access to things. So then when we talk about the ETHs moving around, right? And we talk about this low-hanging fruit, this carrot that's dangling in front of everybody. That's people's entry point into NFTs. It's about the floor, it's about a fucking dickle butt. And it's like, where I'm from, I don't know how to fucking quantify a dickle butt. Like, it doesn't even make sense. So when I'm onboarding my community into the space, I can't really use this as a point of reference as to how you're supposed to move forward. It doesn't fucking like apply to the bottom line as to where I put my energy, et cetera, et cetera. So tapping into my brother Blue the Great, when we talk about those tools, one of the things I like to emphasize is fucking patience. Now, when we get into somebody who's been building for a decade plus, maybe close to 2 decades at this point, oftentimes we're in this world of when mint, when reveal, when token. And it's literally 2 weeks after you mint it, people asking you when you about to deliver the world. And then you get artists that come in and they're bogged down by the pace of the space, the fact that they gotta produce at such a high rate so fast. And then they're looking for immediate return on investment of time, which is crazy because most of that time is less than 2 weeks. It's less than a month, it's less than a year, because the space, in the grand scheme of things, most people just learned about NFTs less than 6 months ago. But they already want to become a millionaire. So oftentimes I like to talk about, I want to tap in, this idea of like enjoying the journey. So Blue, for you, somebody who's been cultivating without Web3 for so long, who had a recent success. He dropped his Genesis piece. What was it? It was New Year's Eve.
New Year's Eve.
Right? What was that, a one of one? You want to kind of talk about that?
It was a one of one. I've been just paying attention to the space, watching Julian, LOGIK just go up. We've known each other for a very long time at this point now, and we're putting all our money together, all our $7 that our 2 roommates had to get like a little bit of weed back in the day. So we really come a long way. But the piece I dropped, I was paying attention to space, buying things, watching things, trying not to just rush into it. You know, I really like researching things that that I'm interested in. So making art for so long, looking at the NFT space sounds amazing. This looks crazy. Talking to Julian every couple of months about it, just diving deeper. And then I was ready to drop. My younger brother, he's an amazing artist as well. He's dropped before, so we've talked about it. So I dropped my first, my Genesis project, and I was, you talk to so many people, you try to get advice from so many people, but I also make art, so I kind of know you gotta dive on your own. I'm making the decisions. If it sucks, it's me. If it goes crazy, I want it to be me. So I dropped my first project, first Genesis piece is a one of one. I asked hella people, they're like, yo, drop 50, yo, drop 500, yo, drop, everyone has an opinion about what you should be doing, but you watch, you research. Like I saw what he was doing in this space. I copped a Cool Cat a long time ago. I'm just watching things. So I dropped my first piece, built it up. What was it, 12? Went for 12 ETH. Whenever New Year's
Like 42
Eve.
bands.
Yeah, it was like 42 bands. I was nervous. It was sitting at like
1.1
like
or
1.1 or 2 or something for like a couple of days. It was an auction, so we did an auction that ended a couple hours before New Year's because I wanted to be in a 2021 class of NFT guys, So it did really well. So now we're building, but I feel like what was big for me was just paying attention, researching before I went and just put all my pennies into something I didn't know about. And as far as like the culture goes, I'm very excited to see more artists get into space who have worked in real life murals or whatever, but to treat the space justly and not just, cash grab, blah, blah, blah. But we here, yeah, it's good.
Nah, man, you got an awesome story. If y'all haven't tapped in with any of these people by now on Twitter or Instagram, I think you sleep. I don't even know why you in here right now. But based on this idea of like, when I saw all this stuff, I was like, yo, it's a lot of bullshit walking. Like I've been around some cold motherfuckers for a very long time. People that really shape why we listen to the music we listen to, that the reason why we wear the fashion we wear the year later. Like when you see people creating just out of just pure innate, like I have to do this, and then you get into a space where everything is microwave, people trying to make these 10,000 communities, and I'm like, okay, what's the point of the community? It's like, we just want to build community. I'm like, okay, what the fuck does that mean? And then I'm like, okay, but where are you leading 6,000 people, and people don't really know where they leading 6,000 people? It blows me, and they sell out, and I'm like, wow, this is crazy. You're not even that talented, and you're going crazy. But my friends are so dope. And then I was really running down like the street with like a NFT flag, like, homies, come do this. Like I was like hitting them up like, Blue, you gotta fucking do this. And when we move in, I don't think, I wanna just tap in on this with you. As we move forward, like you're very strategic in the way you drop some of your stuff. Like you drop zines and stuff, and like from shoes to doing art for some of the most famous people. But a lot of the stuff you've done has just been from pure heart. So what is it that you can probably tell people that's entering the NFT space? Like you said, you didn't just come in guns a-blazing, just minting all willy-nilly. Like we've been doing this for so long, you don't want to stab in the, we've done stabbing, just taking shots in the dark, stabbing in the dark to see what sticks. So what can you probably share with people who are very interested in creating for longevity? Because I remember when we did the internship in 2012, there's a thing called Marcus Graham Project, catered, it was for black and brown people and women to get into the world of advertising. And at the end of the thing, I took the advertising route, hence me making my way through Google or whatever, and he was like, nah, that's not for me. And we lived together for a summer. So what is it that we can probably educate people as they enter the NFT space about how to approach just not even looking at it as just like fucking NFTs, but as a person, as an artist for longevity?
I think it's very simple. It's kind of similar to when I started painting, because I drew a long time and then I kind of graduated to like making paintings on canvas and now doing whatever. But everyone who's never sold a painting will tell you what the price you're painting at. Like, oh, sell it for $50,000. You're like, this is my first piece. And, you know, like, it doesn't work like that. It's about like, for me, I am an established artist. I have like I've done stuff for whatever for a little while, and I would never come into space and put my piece at 7 ETH off the rip. That's just me though. You know, like I want to know what it's worth. Like the people decide what it's worth, and to me, it's just like you lead with good art. Like art is always to me, and that's why the NFT space was so attractive. Because I'm like, okay, this shit is going crazy right here. This is what we were saying. And it's like, okay, this art is mid or whatever. I'm not gonna hate on anybody's art. It's cool. It's art.
I'm just kidding.
And I work on all mediums, so it's like we're talking paintings, we're talking digital. I'm not a person who's like, oh, it's digital. It's not. It's just like the art needs to feel like something, you know, like more than just like, oh, I just learned how to do shit. I put a little face together, cool. But my strategy is always the people are gonna tell you how much it costs. You know, like you're not gonna tell people how much it costs. Like let them run it up, and then once they run it up, I mean, you have a landmark to where you should be around. And then after that, it's just like grow it slow. You know, like it is. I've been making art for a long time, and no one was giving me any money for a long time. Like you know, like I was just making art. On Instagram, this is probably my like proudest thing. I live in LA and I know it's all about the optics and shit. You go on my Instagram, you can see art from when I sucked at art. Like you can see my whole fucking graduation of maturation of fucking just growing as an artist and all this shit. So it's like you just gotta be clear, man. I just like having that shit like transparency and letting people figure it out.
Man, this is like a perfect transition. One is, I appreciate that because if you're an artist or it's just somebody who wants to get into projects, stop trying to just think about what the return on investment gonna be tomorrow and really put your fucking heart and soul into this shit and enjoy the journey, be patient. The journey is beautiful, I promise you. It's fucking beautiful. The things that, if you rush, you miss so many steps. Things that you learn that will just, you don't have to relearn anymore.
It's like being a rapper or being anything. Like if you come out and you just pop, you got one single, okay, you might have made some bread off that single, but it's like that, okay, in 2 years and no one knows you, bro. Like it's like the continuous growth and sustaining that is always the goal. It's like, okay, when I'm 65, I feel like my art should be it should be top, you know, but it's like, it's a slow grind. It's not like some rush to just do it and then get out. Or maybe it is, I don't know, that's just how.
You know, Motivate got a great quote, and then we're gonna jump over to WAHEED because we got a perfect transition. He was like, and it's still pending though, but it's like, you know what, I think you know what I'm about to say. He's like, this is a space where I've seen people put nothing in and get everything out of it, and I've seen people put everything in and not get anything out of it. And then when I say it's pending, is because when you put everything in, it's like it's still undetermined. Because theoretically, the blockchain is here forever, and the story's still untold. And this is when you go into somebody putting everything in and has yet to be seen or recognized. And like I said, we've been doing this shit for like a decade, and I was broke making paintings. Nobody was buying that shit, and then now it's like, oh, he's Logic. It's fucking weird, but it's amazing. I'll take it. But it's this thing of when we talked about the market gets to dictate, right? You don't, like you said, I'm not gonna come in and put my shit at 7 ETH. Yeah, somebody did buy it for 7 ETH or whatever, but it wasn't the point. And then when we talked about my man WAHEED here, who dropped a couple one-of-ones and did a collection of 8,888, which I own 6 of them joints, by the way. And I was one of the first on this Discord because I just wanted to support the homie. He's like, y'all got a Discord? I was in there early. I got the little, first 500, you know what I mean? But this goes into pure support. So when we talk about not setting the price, you've been very humble. And in the sense of your stuff is selling out and things like this, but when you drop your one-of-ones, you still drop the auction at a very accessible price.
This is my, there we go. First time on a panel, so I'm just trying to see how the mic.
And it's his first time on the panel, y'all.
Yeah.
Hey.
Appreciate everyone. My name is WAHEED. It's crazy because I was hearing Blue's story, and it's literally why I am. Where for me, it was always about like, I don't want to just pander to like the top 10% that got a lot of money, but might not have the best of taste. So for me, I was like, who am I to really decide what this is worth. Because when I create, for me, it's about creating a product. I don't even think about a specific price I want to sell it at. So when I first got into the space around March of 2021, I came from Instagram. You know, I was just posting work for likes, and so it was doing pretty well. So when I came into the NFT space, I put my first piece at 3 ETH, and it was a very humbling experience because for 4 months it didn't sell. You know, and I was like, maybe I'm not as good as I think I am. You know, so I went back, spent months on Clubhouse. That's where I met LOGIK, Motivate, MUMBOT, all these people, you know, and then fast forward to June, I dropped the same piece. I actually came up with a complete different piece, released it, and I priced it at 0.1, which is translates to about like 250. And I've kind of kept the same ideology because I want kind of whoever that really wants it to kind of get it, and not really just have a specific dollar amount set to this is what I want it to be worth at. But it's been a blessing to just see people resonate to something you really, you put out and you don't know what it's really going to translate to. But yeah.
What was the biggest difference between that work that sat and that like 4-month interim and when it just boomed and it clicked and it hit?
I think it was just realizing how the space moves. Because when I first came in, I was seeing the headlines, right? Like Beeble sells a painting for, like a digital work for 69 million. I'm like, that is insane, like I'm struggling for $40 commissions, and this guy sold something for 69 million. I'm like, I'm doing something wrong, So I jumped into the space. I'm like, let me price it at 3, like it can't be that bad, and it didn't sell. And fast, back to like I said, like I spent a couple months learning how the space moves, and for me it was just the realization where like I'm not trying to be quickly in, make a little money, get out. Because for me, like I've been doing art when I was just doing it for Instagram likes, and doing it between my like classes. So like regardless, I was going to do it. So I'm like, let me just try the space and actually take it for what it is, rather than just try to quickly jump in without having any knowledge of how the space moves. And fast forward to like 8 months later, and it's been life-changing, to say the least. But yeah.
Chime in.
Yeah, we can make it
I was in WAHEED's like first draft party. Hi. I just wanted to say that I remember that you mentioned that like you were on like an old computer back then.
Yeah, I had a Lenovo from like 2012 from Afghanistan. My brother got his space. I'm from Afghanistan, and like I came here in 2015. But back home, like my brother gave me like computer because like I was trying to like first learn about like we finally got Wi-Fi, so I was like, nah, like this is crazy that I can just go on the internet and search like messy pictures, I was using that until like fast forward to when I dropped like Smiles versus like my major project, but it was a Lenovo computer. I have that still. I don't know if it still turns on, but the little mouse pad and all that, sitting somewhere.
Should mint it and sell it with your next piece of work.
No, I'm not selling it.
Sound like you should have a brand deal with Lenovo, though.
Yeah, you should, right?
You should do a brand deal with Lenovo.
There you go. If he's gonna hook up your first brand partnership.
This the one?
Second, third brand partnership.
Yeah, also we should welcome to the stage Lady PHEØNIX.
Sorry for late. I was gonna see you guys tonight at 6. That was apparently the wrong time. I was in the future, so my bad.
No, you are in the future, and you right on time actually, because we went down and now it's time for you. We went through MUMBOT, we went through Blue the Great, we went through WAHEED's Eye, and we're not done. We're gonna kind of have like a little popcorn style time, if it permits.
You look good, by the way. You looking good.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, I see you. You looking good.
Shout out to my bro Tone. I went to the Rap and Rent store. Shout out to Web3 Money, because I went in, I was like, bro, I ain't never got a suit before. I'm like, let me get a little suit jacket. It's my first Taylor one. Sorry, no more, you feel me? But, you know what I'm saying? When we talk about you in the future, I just want to say, I said this to you at dinner the other day, I appreciate you. Because you spoke about NFTs in a way nobody else was speaking about NFTs, and I'm talking about in 2020, okay? And when I heard you speak about Decentraland, I bought Decentraland or Mana literally 2 weeks after you told me. I played World of Warcraft, I saw that stuff, I saw coins, I was like, say less of 7 cents at the time, 8 pennies, right? And the reason why I'm saying these things is because when I entered this space in Clubhouse, and I spent a lot of time in art rooms. I used to run a room called How to Make It as an NFT. I mean, How to Make It as an Artist, with my friend Brandon Bro, who's a super talented artist. And then I saw all these other rooms starting to pop up, and Lady Fee was at the forefront. And then she was introducing all these people in a world that I was unaware of. And one of those people being People, then it was like, I'm sure you spoke about Pac or Thank You X or any of those people, Blau, and it wasn't just about the fucking art. It wasn't. It was about the ecosystem that was emerging. It was about the sovereignty that was being placed. It was about smart contracts. It was about marketplaces. This is a time when I had to actually spell open C for people in the rooms. Oh, open, no, C like the old S-E-A, not like the way you see. And it was like, that was how early I got onboarded from Lady PHEØNIX. And I just want to, because I have an open-ended question for you, because I just feel like whatever you say, people gonna fucking resonate with it. But the way you talked about, I learned that NFTs were much more than pretty pictures in your room. And when I learned about that, it helped me not rush into the space. Not to just mint something I posted on Instagram. It helped me package the things I wanted to do. It allowed me to see that I can build a world in this arena. This is an open-ended question, because you're just gonna drop gems, because all of us are, peasants in thought in this space compared. And as NFTs for the culture, what is it about you being a black woman and in a space, because you were an anomaly in a space. It was just you and everyone else, and you stuck out like a fucking sore thumb, and I'm just listening to everybody just hanging on to your words. What was it about the space that brought you in so early that you felt like it was your prerogative to expand it, to share this information in the way that you shared it, to shape culture? I don't even know what I want to ask you, but you know what I'm trying to ask you. It was amazing. You fucked my life up in a great way.
I'm gonna get a t-shirt that says I fuck up lives in a great way. That's a good question. So people don't really know or maybe realize, but I've been in this game for a really long time. I officially kind of came in and more publicly in 2012. Like, this is not new stuff. Like, the first platform that I was aware of that was really doing it on Bitcoin was Ascribe. So Ascribe, Dimitri, the founder, they weren't called NFTs, they were called signatures at that time. And, he had all the early OGs, like all the X copies, right? And they were essentially trading for Bitcoin. So they have really the largest and probably most valuable collection of what we now know are called NFTs in the world, because they were that early. And so around that time, a lot of my friends on Instagram and these other platforms are getting booted because of, the artwork or their messaging around the artwork, or the comments they would make in the description of the work. Sometimes it wasn't even the work itself, it's how they talked about it. And it's like, so if we're building this digital community, and a person that you've grown to love, respect, appreciate, and support, whether it be monetarily or, emotionally, they're not there one day, it feels like some type of murder, or kidnapping. It's like, where's my loved one, my digital loved one? Where's the homie? And I saw that happen to too many artists, and I was like, nah, this isn't it. We can't remove people from community and thus remove their economy, right? Because we don't know who these people are, what they got going on, what families they're supporting through their work, their craft, their gift. And tech companies aren't really thinking about these artists or people who hold these accounts as whole people in whole communities with goals, with purpose. And so I thought, well, I have to figure out a way to help them get back online as soon as they're snatched offline, right? It's like my own little task force. And so I started doing a bunch of research, discovered Ascribe, and it's like, oh, I knew about these guys, but I didn't really know fully what they were doing and what they were about. And started talking with them, and it was like, okay, I need to just be a fan, because you guys aren't really about artist rights. A few years later, maybe a year or two later, Kevin McCoy came with his platform, which is Monograph. Monograph was solely focused on artist rights. And so I thought, well, he's already got the lawyer power, the tech power, let's just collab and have him do it. But his company sort of ebbed and flowed as tech companies do, and then he was gone. And I thought, damn, he folded, right? So it's back on me. And then CryptoKitties came about, and I was like, all right, well, back in the
Before
game.
CryptoKitties?
Hell yeah.
Oh my God.
So A-Scribe came out in like 2013.
Oh wow.
And then Kevin came around in 2014, 2015. CryptoKitties hit the scene in 2017.
Oh, you took the red pill early. Early.
I was just trying to solve my own problems, right? And so not really mine because I wasn't making work, but my friends, right? Artists that I had been like advising and helping and just championing because I really fuck with them and I liked their work. I believed in what they were doing and we were in community. So imagine 2020 NFT community on Clubhouse and then all of a sudden Clubhouse not agreeing with what people had to say and silencing everyone. There was no Twitter Spaces, right? So where were we gonna talk, on Zoom? Which would have been cool, but how many of us really would have pulled up to Zoom like that? None of us, right? The first couple of rooms would have been cool, the first couple of calls, but we wouldn't have continued that. Yeah, so that was that feeling, you know? Like I met all of you guys online, right? And if we had been disconnected because someone didn't like our work or what we had to say, we would never have this moment, right? So I'm thankful to these platforms for bringing us together, but it's our responsibility to carry that forward. Right? So to have your community online and offline. The people that you vibe with, make sure you get their phone number, make sure you get their socials, just in case, because Twitter might not be here. I mean, Jack is the man, he's doing his thing, but you never know what the world, we might have our own Ukraine here, which might stop progress for us, right, business-wise. Might stop our economy, might break up communities and families. You never really know. So it's important to tap in with people on all levels if you respect them, respect their work, respect what they're doing, and want to support them and help forward what they're doing, right? So these were artists that I knew online, but also tapped in with them offline. So I was able to say, hey, yo, where'd you go? Do you have a full backup of all your stuff? Everybody said no. So that's when it was like, okay, what can help these artists never be erased? Blockchain, right? And so that's how I came to A-Scribe, came to Monograph, followed the CryptoKitties, understood what OpenSea was doing, and OpenSea was really an index. OpenSea was focused on the business. A lot of these platforms were focused on the bag, which is how all of that business flowed into OpenSea and didn't stay on those platforms. Right? I think something that I say to artists a lot is like, you want to really be focused on the business, and sometimes that looks like, you know, taking the long way home, right? The business means you'll be focused on your legacy. Your legacy is going to outlive you if you do it right. We still talk about Elvis. He hasn't been shaking his tail feather for a long time, but we still talk about him. He's still making money for his estate. People are still going to Graceland. For the artists that are in NFTs, I want the same for them. Right? And so we have to be looking at how to solve our own problems, how to do it in a way that will outlive us, right? And how to be focused on the business instead of the bag, because if you stay focused on the bag, everything you build is gonna flow into somebody else's stuff, right? So, yeah. That's the short of the long.
Yeah, no, that's amazing. And
It's gonna be positive.
I know what it is. And you ended because we were literally just talking about that longevity situation, right? About the way we are building for legacy, and you just kind of like co-sign, which is why we have this amazing panel up here. We're in alignment, and I think just kind of pushing and perpetuating this narrative of not being so microwave as the space makes us feel like we should be, and just to kind of take these perspectives into account. And I think that's why I know why I personally created NFTs for the culture, because of these people right here, and they allow for me personally to know that I'm not crazy, and then the other people are already building legacies. And if we have this understanding, and some of it's fundamental, like just some of the basic things that can really just shift a person's mindset on how they approach their artistry, the space, etc., can just change the direction of their entire lives.
But also their relationships. Right? Like if you think about the ancient cultures that we revere, right? The Egyptians, the Dogon, certain ancient Chinese cultures, Indian cultures, we still go to those monuments today. Those monuments are said to be thousands, some of them hundreds of thousands of years old. That's folks focused on legacy, right? That's not folks just focused on tourism bureau. They're focused on legacy. They're gonna be here long after, certain civilizations that just popped up microwave style, pop secret style. that are going to be disappeared from this place because they weren't actually focused on legacy. And so right now, we are well positioned to be our own Disneys, to build our own Disneys, right? And to even outpace Disney. What if we were trying to be the Egyptians for real, to be those architects who built the pyramids?
Write our own hieroglyphs.
Right.
High power, that's a Kendrick line.
100.
That building for posterity and longevity is literally the key to.
That's God calling you.
It might be. I'm talking about building for forever, you know. But I think just in due process, you have to be more methodical. You have to be more pragmatic because you're thinking ahead. It's like, and you can also think behind. You can think about your legacy as an individual, as an artist, as a whatever. And one thing that you touched on that I think is really, really important for people to think about is not building castles on somebody else's land.
1,000.
Don't build castles on someone else's sand. I say that all the time because, you know, if Twitter disappears, Facebook disappears, whatever disappears, do you have a wiretap? Do you have a line in? You know, WAHEED's building community, you're building community, we're all community builders, community leaders, cultivators, and all of that. And so, you know, you want to at least have phone numbers, email addresses, first and last names. Setting up a MailChimp is free. You can have your first 2,000 emails for free. You could do a Google form up to 100,000 emails for free and get the other info that you need. We used to memorize phone numbers. Do you have any other ones other than maybe your parents memorized today? So if you lost all of your contacts and everything and couldn't back anything up, you're telling me those are the only people in this world that you can talk to? Then how are you gonna move? How are you gonna shake? How are you gonna sell? How are you gonna build? So, you know, just fundamentally, I love how we're finally at a point where social media used to bring us together, but now it's reversed and it's pushing us further apart. And so we're sort of normalizing the idea of reconnecting with the roots and saying, you know what, I'm gonna turn my phone off for dinner. I'm gonna leave this back at home. I'm gonna work with earpods in or whatever, and I'm just gonna focus on the art and not be distracted by all this noise and static. And I'm gonna make sure that if I need to contact somebody, I can do that directly and don't have to watch 3 advertisements and then buy a service, you know? So.
Outside of like DARPA, right, the government, there's only 2 main like legacy storage systems. One is like acid-free paper, right? If you want to write something down or store something. And the other one's celluloid film. That's why we can still see Birth of a Nation, right? So when I talk with artists, I'm like, what medium will we use to remember you? How will you communicate beyond the drop and beyond the grave? Right? And if you're not thinking about your digital estate and how you'll communicate your artwork, your practice, your purpose beyond the drop and beyond the grave, you shouldn't be making NFTs right now. It's not forever, it's just take time to really think about that path. So for so long, artists were compartmentalized to starving and not being successful. That type of stress kept a lot of really great artists from focusing on having a tomorrow because they were just trying to survive for today, right? But when you think about the people of forever, those legacy systems, even the people they call aboriginals, those folks already had their metaverse a long time ago called Dreamtime, you know? And so how can we look at those systems of forever and those cultures of forever and apply those philosophies to today? For example, we have DAOs. Nobody ever stops to think like, oh, Confucius was talking about something similar, or this other person was talking about something similar when they had what we call TAOs, right? And then Ethereum, that's spirit, or substance unseen, but substance you can work with. Vitalik, if you research why he wanted to call this Ethereum or Ether, it's because he wanted those more spiritual, more aligned purposes to be associated with this new economy, right? And so a good buddy of mine named Dawida, who's a spiritual technologist, he always says they shouldn't call these smart contracts, right? Based on what Vitalik, why he chose Ether or Ethereum as a name. They shouldn't call them smart contracts. Dawida says they should call them smart agreements. And I was telling him, I'm like, that's really fascinating because I have this thing that I say a lot, and it's that humanity needs new agreements. After 2020 in particular, we're new people, right? So we need new agreements to manage or govern our relationships between one another. And one of the new agreements for the future is that artists will not starve, artists will be successful, and they will design the future, a future that we can all get behind, and a future that we can all feel happy about living in, right? And so humanity needs new agreements. One of those agreements is prosperity, abundance, and wellness for all of us, especially those that are most creative among us, right? Because if you can't see it, you can't be it. And the only person who can help us see are the creatives, are the artists, right? So we're a special group of people. We're people who deserve care, who deserve support, and who deserve money. Like if you're out there and you got money, you could be a Medici too with only $100, you know? So don't think that you don't have enough of X to get into the game, or you don't have enough of X to support any of these artists. You have enough simply with retweeting, resharing, coming to these events. You know what I mean? There's so much that people can do to be a part of this brand new world that we're living into and that these artists are creating, that we're creating together. And so I think that stepping into that possibility and just saying yes, right, is the first step.
She's amazing. You're amazing. I just wanted to chime in on that because I wanted to say, like, you know, about like we deserve money, we deserve support, we deserve these things. It's also because everyone up here is also, we're all about ecosystems and we're all about supporting others. Like you know, you help us, we help you. So it's kind of something that we're all about. That's kind of like, that's even why I'm here. So, you know, that's what I just want to say.
I'm like speechless, y'all. It doesn't happen often. And we just really breaking down what NFTs for the culture is. Really getting into like the ethos of why we even doing this shit in the first place. Like I quickly saw again in your rooms, I was like, yo, this shit is deeper than rap, you know what I'm saying? Like I'm like, this is deeper than these pictures we seeing, this is deeper than the floor, this is deeper. And then it was just like really unpacking the players that were in there, and I'm like, they weren't built like a Blue the Great that I've been around for a long time. They weren't built like this 22-something kid that I heard just kind of like having just, you know, just the craziest swag in the rooms, you know what I'm saying? He gonna tell me to relax, but you know what I'm saying? It was just like, and it was like, yo, these is, and then I met Motivate, and this motherfucker speak on a level that I just had to like, I had to sit back, because I've seen people maneuver and navigate the game, and a lot of stuff that he was talking, I was like, I get what you're saying, but I haven't seen anybody operate in this space, so like for the longest time, I don't think we followed each other, and I was just really like filling them out, because what I was seeing in the space wasn't genuine, really. Like the people that were just trying to figure it out, they weren't hustlers to the degree I like respected hustlers. And then I kept seeing what he's putting down, and I was like picking it up, and I was like, okay. And I think we both mutually had a respect because we can literally see that we was cutting through the space like butter. And then like MUMBOT, me and MUMBOT resonated. It was like, wow, these people, it's some cold people here. And then you start to realize like, and then I started seeing people that look like me come into the space and like get misguided. They wouldn't stay long because things weren't resonating, things didn't make sense, they weren't made for us. So just a little bit about me in this regards to the NFTs for the culture. I created a project called The Plug. It was 888 NFTs, and before I even dropped my project, it's a project that you buy it, starts at 1%. The longer you hold it, every 60 days, it charges up 1%, 17%, and so forth. Now, if you sell my NFT before it gets to 100%, it reverts back to 1% on the blockchain. Now, if you hodl it to 100%, it will stay that way forever on the blockchain, which is the alchemist level. It evolves 3 times. Shout out to Jackie, somewhere in the corner, there he is right there. He's a programmer, he goes by Satoshi Go. Now, when we were talking about this, it was really like, the reason why I created this project after I did my first 3 drops on Nifty Gateway, I saw that there was an issue with sustainability. Like all these artists were like really kicking themselves in the ass and really stressed out about trying to find a new collector every week to sell every week. And I'm like, I've been doing this game for a long time and I don't have time for that. Like that just don't make sense. And also I saw that I was the only one in the room that looked like me and I couldn't create a project for The Plug as a one-of-one unless some hype beast motherfucker that don't know shit about The Plug buy my one-of-one because there's only white boys in the space. So how can I create a project that really resonates not only with me, but I want people that really understand what the fuck I'm trying to build to have it, that resonates. And I wanted to have the education come on in. Like I said, where I'm from, we can't quantify a dick butt. We just can't. It doesn't make sense. It gets no play in St. Louis. It doesn't. So when I'm trying to talk to my people about entering a space with an ape at the top of the food chain, how can I make this resonate? So at the very least, when I created the plug, at the very least when you have my NFT, it changes every 60 days. So when you go to a bullshit project, you're gonna ask this question, well, this one at least changed 60 days. What does this do? I paid $280 for my homie from Chicago. This thing at least changed 60 days. Why am I buying this dick butt? What does it mean to me? Who is the dev? I want you to be able to just kind of unpack these things. And I also wanted to preach patience, not only in myself, but in the space. Literally when people drop a project, I dropped a project, 3 days later, people asking me when the next update was. It takes time to make heat. And I was like, how can I know I'm not about to succumb to this bullshit. How can I educate my friends, family, homies, and other artists to approach the space with dignity, with time, and a mindset that allows for you to feel like you can live on your own path and your journey and your timeline. So when we talk about legacy, that's what we're talking about. And I shout out to you again for that door. So where should we go with this from here?
Can I give a compliment real quick?
Yeah, for sure.
I want to give a compliment to Spivak because even when certain things dried up on NFTs, he held it all the way down. Sometimes I would just cruise. I'm not gonna say certain platforms, but I would just cruise to see what was going on. Since the well had dried up, and he was the oasis, right? When everything else dried up, and so yeah, I just wanted to give you your flowers because you really. Yeah, you remain the constant root of reason, but the constant root of, like, this is a place of community, of love, of information, and I don't care if there's one person in the room, we are gonna do this, we're gonna talk, we're gonna chop it up, we're gonna flip the Rubik's Cube on these ideas, we're gonna come up with something, I'm gonna figure out how I can help you, I'm gonna see if I can put you on. You were doing that from Jump Street, from when things were popping on these platforms, and then when things really dried up and went down, you remained consistent. And, I observed, I took a step back once, the marketing bros came in and things got kind of ridiculous. I was like, I'm not about this life, and I don't want people to confuse me with the monkeys. So I'm gonna have to, step back and chill and work on other things in silence. But I was observant, and I observed you on there always, with the intention of maintaining truth, no matter who came into the room and no matter who tried to cause chaos. You always remain consistent and let truth and community and consistency be your North Star. So I wanted to give you your flowers because people don't see, I don't know if enough people see the work you put in. So for real.
I appreciate that. And shout out to Sirsu, Amir, and so many other great people. I mean, at the end of the day, I think we all understand that, if you build it, they will come, hopefully, right? But if you build it, you're at least providing an opportunity for people to see it, to hear it, to feel it, to enjoy it, right? And so I'm about sustainability and longevity. I've been providing warehouses for our underground community, for warehouse parties and undergrounds for the past 15 years almost in LA. In Lamars Park in South Central, we have a showcase called Bananas. It's every third Tuesday, rain or shine. It's 14 years at a formerly historic West Coast Apollo type spot that used to be Project Blow, that happened every single Thursday, where the hungriest and most talented individuals would have a place on the street to rap, sing, showcase their clothing, themselves, and inside you'd catch the performances. You'd catch the Doja Cats, the Kali Uchis, the Kuko, the Kendricks, the Dom Kennedys, and more. Every third Tuesday for 14 years, we've lost money on that event. lost money because of gas and because of paying out certain people to be there that weren't making any money for us there because we weren't charging anything there, but it was for the people and it was for the culture. And the understanding on my end was, if these warehouses don't exist and these venues don't exist for the acid house, jungle, drum and bass, house music communities, and these venues don't exist for the hip hop and R&B and soul and funk and disco communities, if nobody's doing that, if nobody's building that, if nobody's producing these events, then that voice is silenced and suppressed. And it's the same thing in the art spaces, you know? We can't all have Gagosian, Christie, Sotheby's, etc. work, you know? We all can't be in Seventh Letter Graffiti Crew. We can't all be Billboard pop art artists. We all can't fit into all of these different boxes. So if you can't get into it, you have to build it across the street. And you can start small, you can start big, you can start digitally, or you can start physically, you can merge the two. But yeah, we're here for longevity and sustainability and community and culture. So I do know that we have to wrap it up for the next panel. I will say that my closing statement on anything is, shout out to Harmony One for having us here, for one. And every day on Twitter, if you want to get educated in this space, talking metaverses, AR, VR, XR, fashion, tech, literature, art, digital art, animation, world building, culturally diverse conversations that are accessible and at a point that you can find as an access at no cost. We have Your Conduit Presents, and Your Conduit Presents is hosted by him, by myself, by Dong Lee Han of NFT Korea, of Will Gaines, who's at the side of the stage, Living with Will, Trish Retta, Sirsu Amir of the Mint Fund and Crypto Cookout, and Black Hand Esports League. I mean, we have Natalie Crew and Black Dave every Saturday, which is metaverse music, and we're educating people like Sunny Digital and Just Blaze and more in the space on this stuff. These are open to everybody, they're free, and it's the most authentic and diverse and valuable conversations in the Web3 world. So.
Shout out to Motivate, man. When I saw Motivate, I'm like, bro, I'm Logic, and we on stage, and I'm like, I don't know, man. And then I seen you really operate, like not only online, what Lady Fee was saying, NFTs.tips, which was crazy. It was like 24/7 programming. It was relentless. And even then, after like in those ebbs and flows, like Lady Fee said, bro, you were there, man. And I think people found comfort in the constant, and you were like no bullshit filter. And I was like, I can rock with this dude 1,000%. Before we end, because I know we gotta leave, I just want to give at least all y'all like a 15-second thing before we wrap it, and I'll end it. Starting with Waheed. Just like how you feel or whatever, what you got from this. Yeah, whatever, man. Just what you got a little close to.
First of all, it's just great to be here and have everyone here. Like I said, it's the first time I was doing a panel, so it was nerve-wracking, but I appreciate everyone for coming through and just listening. Appreciate you. Thank you.
And get your all smiles. Get your all smiles.
My NFT collection is called Smilesverse, or Smiles with 3 S's at the end, and then I also go by All Smiles. But yeah.
Hell yeah.
I got 4 of them things. Hold it. My name's Blue. I feel great. This is my dog Red. I just shot him out. I feel sorry, but he's sleepy. I'm super excited about everything coming out. Working on a project that's really cool. Can't talk about it yet. Shout out to everybody on this panel. Appreciate being here. Welcome to LA if you don't live here. Sorry about the rain.
Lady Phoenix, you can catch me at universecontemporary.com, and then the project that I'm working on now that I care about is called Brianna's Garden. You can look at brianna.com. It's a digital veneration project for Breonna Taylor in XR, so we have an AR portion. You can download the app, it's really beautiful, and we have a VR portion that premiered at South by Southwest. And if you're in Louisville, we'll be doing a wellness concert or wellness festival in Brianna's name, since she wanted to be a nurse and she worked as an EMT in Louisville, June 4th and 5th. June 5th is Brianna's birthday, and she would have been 29 years old. So please go to our Instagram at Brianna's Garden and follow us. We're also at Brianna's Garden _ on Twitter. I really want to thank you all for being here. And again, sorry to be late. I generally am very punctual. I wasn't on my Lauryn Hill. I just like got the I got the timing confused, especially coming right off of Austin. So yeah, very honored to be here. Honored to be invited. Honored to be in conversation and hold space with all of you. Anything I can do for your community, with your community, please let me know.
You've done so much.
Yeah, I just want to say thank you, Eric and Logic, and to everyone on the panel. You guys are all super inspirational, so I'm really honored to be here. I just wanted to say one more thing, that like I know everyone here cares a lot about what they do, so yeah, definitely follow everybody up here. I also want to say really quick that your spaces feel like home to me, so thank you for that. Yeah, you can follow MUMBOT World, and I have a lot of stuff happening soon I'm really excited about, so you can follow me on Twitter. It's at MUMBOT on everything, and then also the Discord for the Ghost Club is on the Ghost Club Twitter. So that's the community of creatives that we have. Thank you.
Amazing. Well, everybody, I appreciate y'all for joining NFTs for the Culture. I'm Logic. I'm also known as Julian Gilliam, depending on where you know me from. We have an amazing fucking panel.
We have a women's panel next that y'all should stay for. That's also incredible. But yeah, I just wanted to say thank you once again for all y'all being here. I think I shot my shot basically in asking all y'all to join. This new friendship tech concept was basically a counter conference for me, because I felt that inaccessible ticket prices for artist communities, that these conferences are built on the backs
Wait,
of
you don't have $700 for a ticket?
$4,000.
Oh,
$6,000?
$400, $200,000. But yeah, it's all about accessibility, diversity, and inclusion in this space. And you know, if you can teach others, your parents, your children, your friends, your family about this stuff, they're all gonna have to learn it one way or another. It's gonna get adapted, just like it took COVID-19 for QR codes to actually get sexy, because they weren't sexy, they were utility out the rear. They've been used overseas for a very long time. But because of the conditions and the environment that we can't change or decide, suddenly everybody knows how to use them. So the same thing's gonna end up happening with NFTs, same thing's gonna happen with blockchain, same thing's already happening with crypto. When you see the big dogs and you follow the money, you already understand it. So it's a matter of you maintaining your integrity and your individuality and your identity in order to sustain and build for longevity in the space. So just educate and empower, and don't get down and out. You know, it's hard out here, and we understand there's a lot of ups and downs and losses that a lot of people just went through. So just be patient, trust the process, and reach out. If you need help, reach out. There's always someone there. So thanks, guys. I think we are wrapped.